Imagine waking up one day and discovering that one of the most famous seas on Earth is gone. No ships. No waves. Just a gigantic desert where water once existed. What if the Mediterranean Sea suddenly disappeared? It sounds impossible. But millions of years ago, it actually happened. About 5.9 million years ago, something extraordinary occurred in Earth's history. Scientists call it the Messinian Salinity Crisis. During this period, the connection between the Mediterranean and the Atlantic Ocean was cut off. The gateway between them, the Strait of Gibraltar, closed. Without fresh ocean water flowing in, the Mediterranean began to evaporate. Slowly at first. Then dramatically. Year after year, the water level dropped. Eventually, most of the sea disappeared, leaving behind a massive salt desert stretching across southern Europe and northern Africa. Without water, the Mediterranean basin became one of the most extreme landscapes on Earth. Some regions were over 3 kilometers below sea level. Imagine standing on the dry seabed and looking up at towering cliffs where the coast once was. Rivers like the Nile River and the Rhone River carved enormous canyons as they rushed downward into the empty basin. These canyons were far deeper than anything we see today. The climate became brutally hot and dry. Temperatures inside the basin may have reached over 50 degrees Celsius. It would have been one of the harshest environments on the planet. If the Mediterranean disappeared today, the map of our world would look completely different. Instead of water separating continents, there would be a vast desert valley. Southern Europe and North Africa would almost touch. You could potentially travel across land between regions that are now divided by sea. Countries like Italy, Greece, and Turkey would suddenly find themselves on the edge of a giant canyon rather than a coastline. Major ports and coastal cities would become stranded far from any ocean. Entire ecosystems would collapse. And global weather patterns could shift dramatically. The Mediterranean Sea plays a huge role in regulating climate. Its warm waters help stabilize temperatures across southern Europe and the Middle East. If the sea vanished, that balance would disappear. Summers across southern Europe could become far hotter. Winters might become colder. Rainfall patterns would change dramatically. Regions that currently rely on Mediterranean moisture could turn into deserts. And powerful dust storms could sweep across continents. A dry Mediterranean basin would also affect global ocean circulation, which could influence climate patterns far beyond Europe and Africa. During the ancient drying event, life had to adapt or disappear. Many marine species went extinct. Others survived only in small isolated lakes of extremely salty water. But for land animals, the drying basin created something unique. A gigantic migration corridor. Species from Africa could travel into Europe. And animals from Europe could move south. The Mediterranean region may have briefly become a massive land bridge connecting ecosystems. This could have reshaped the evolution of many species. But the story didn't end with a desert. About 5.3 million years ago, something incredible happened. The natural barrier at the Strait of Gibraltar broke. Water from the Atlantic Ocean rushed back into the basin. Scientists believe this event was the Zanclean flood. And it may have been the largest flood in Earth's history. Water cascaded into the basin like a colossal waterfall. Possibly 1.000 times stronger than Niagara Falls. The Mediterranean Sea may have refilled in just a few months, or a few years. A geological blink of an eye. Today, the Strait of Gibraltar remains the narrow gateway between the Atlantic and the Mediterranean. In theory, if tectonic forces ever sealed this passage again, the process could repeat. But this would likely take millions of years. Still, the ancient drying of the Mediterranean reminds us how dynamic our planet truly is. Even entire seas can disappear. Imagine standing at the edge of Europe, looking down into a canyon deeper than the Grand Canyon, where an entire sea once existed. The Mediterranean feels permanent to us today. But Earth's history tells a different story. Oceans rise. Seas vanish. And sometimes, the greatest landscapes on our planet exist only for a moment in geological time.